All right, everyone, we're live. Sorry, my room is really dark. I should actually go turn on the light, but yeah, we're here. Sorry for the delay. Joe and Mike from BuildAssetsOnline.com, and we're coming at you with a Land Academy review. And we're not just going to be reviewing what they offer in the course. You know, just basically, we're not going to be reviewing it at face value. We're going to be telling you what's been happening to us doing it for a year. So, Mike, we're very hard on
Yeah,
this one.
I did work very hard. I'd say about 100 times as hard as I usually work for these because you do most of the back end operations. But yeah, I've really been working on this land stuff since end of the year last year, and you know, um, I don't see a lot of people discussing their in-depth results. A lot. I'm not going to show these results to brag or anything like that. In fact, I'm almost embarrassed at where we're at this point. I think we could be doing a lot better, but I think it's good for people to get an idea of really what it looks like in terms of how much mail we sent out, the offers that we got back. And so not something you see a lot in terms of discussion. So I want to discuss it.
Cool. So, moving on. If you want to try out Land Academy and you want to get a special BOW discount, landacademy.com/membership plans. Use coupon code BAO and you'll save $500, all caps. And but either way, we get a small commission for that. But either way, this is an unbiased review. We're not gonna tell you it's great or tell you it's not good just because we are affiliates for it.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't even, like courses most of the time they're about business models that already kind of exist, and it's just like their version of it. The thing about Land Academy is that you really can't do the buying and selling land thing just out the gate without this training and without the tools that they provide. And so there's other courses out there about how to buy and sell land, but I believe they're actually all former students of Land Academy. So, you can watch our interview with them, the founders of Land Academy, Steve and Jill, and they talk about their origins. They've been doing this for since the 90s, I guess. So it's like 30 years. It's longer than I've been around. So yeah, the thing is that they create the ecosystem for how this all works. Otherwise, I would just say this is our results from flipping land, but this is actually our results from using their framework.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about our online business criteria. So before we do anything online, it has to meet 4 out of 6 of these things, and we've talked about this multiple times. And so, Mike, how many of these would you say Land fulfills? Because I feel like it's 5 out of 6.
Well, let's talk about it. Compounding results. So by compounding results, we mean that you can put in the same action over and over and over again and have an exponential effect in terms of the results you receive. An example of this would be the content sites that we run. So if you put out, say, 50 articles a month, or you put in $1,000 each month into getting X number of articles made, the amount of income that you get out of that isn't really, it's not really like a 1-to-1 ratio, because the more articles you put out, your website gains authority, you get more traffic in almost hockey stick exponential type fashion, and therefore your earnings go up in an exponential type fashion. So I would say that flipping land does not have this, because it's like I send out 5,000 mailers each month. I'm going to get the same result back every single time. Me doing the same action over and over and over is not going to somehow increase the results that I get in a compounding way. Would you agree?
Yes, and yeah, I think I would agree. It's a tough one because it can compound because you can just send out more mail, but then obviously you're gonna have way more leads and way more things to
That's not you're not getting like an exponential number of results by sending out more mail. You're getting the same amount of
Yeah,
results.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. But I'm just saying that the action of acquiring more land it's kind of the same thing over and over again, which is what I meant. In comparison to some other things, like I guess if you compare it to drop shipping and you want to keep getting new suppliers, I would say sending out mail is probably a bit. There's less variation in that because you could just send it out. You know what I'm saying? You're not going back and forth too much. Anyway, I don't want to get. Yes, I would agree with it at the end of the day.
Compounding skill set. So if you put in the same effort month over month, are you going to see your results improve or see your skills improve in a way that is exponential? And to this, I would say absolutely, because going into this, and you'll kind of see this reflected in when we discuss each mailer, but going into it, I really had no idea what I was doing. A year ago, I did not know really what a deed was. I didn't know the difference between a deed and like title. And so we're not going to get into this. Really, it's not the scope of this video, but my ability to assess deals now is a lot better. And just, I think I know my way around this industry a lot better. And so it's certainly going to, my skills are certainly improving, and that will help me get better results. High margin, 100%. That's really the main reason we got into this, is because we were doing the high ticket dropshipping stuff. We were seeing, wow, this is great that we can make these sales that make $1,000 profit. We've done plenty of high ticket dropshipping products in different industries. And so to me, this just felt like another industry that we can go into, but with the caveat that you can kind of control your margin. And there's not a lot of product types out there that are like $50,000, $60,000, where something that you have the ability to make 5 figures profit consistently. Really the only things that you can do that for is if like motor vehicles, houses, and thus, land is one of those product types as well. So this was just a way for us to sort of get into more of that predictable 5-figure profit sale area. So we have 2 so far: compounding skill set, high margin, low risk. What would you say, Joe?
Well, it depends how much money you have. If you are on a very limited budget, I would say it's not low risk, because you can mess up on your first few deals and kind of be dead in the water. But then again, you can probably break even on them. So you would just have to move a lot slower if you had a limited budget where you couldn't take as many risks. So I would say it's low risk at the end of the day, but be willing to part with your money for a little bit.
Yeah, and to me, going into this, I did not think it was low risk. So that's why we weren't really recommending it to a lot of people. It felt like more of an advanced thing, because they don't teach you how to set up a website. They don't teach you how to, fill in a lot of the blanks. They teach you about land and about how to send mail and how to do pricing. Everything else, they kind of leave it up to you to do. And that's why I felt like we had an advantage, because, we are good at setting up internet businesses. But yeah, you do need to invest a decent chunk of capital when it comes to acquiring a property. But they do offer this service where there are people that are in Land Academy just to fund other people's deals. So, you still have to send out mail in good quantities. You should be spending $1,000 a month at least in mail costs, in my opinion. So for some people that might not be low risk, because you can screw that up and you don't get that money back. But when it comes to doing deals, if you don't feel comfortable, then you can always have someone fund your deal. And we've used this to a great extent, and it's been that's been one of the best parts of Land Academy for sure. And so we'll talk about those deals. So yeah, low risk. I'm on the fence about that. For us now, it's low risk because we have a decent chunk of capital to work with. But starting out, like some of our students, they don't have a lot of money to invest, so that's why we don't recommend it to them. Sustainable, I would say absolutely yes. This is really another major reason we got into this, because we see
this was one of the things actually that I was skeptical about going into it. It's kind of funny, I guess, like everyone getting into a new business model, they always ask the question, is it saturated? Is it saturated? Is it saturated? And so when we were getting into this, that was the first question in my mind is like, oh man, is there going to be like a shortage of land? Like if we're just mailing everyone?
Yeah. And the more I look into it, like we've spent an entire year really only working in a small section of the country, and we haven't even exhausted some of the states we've been working in, like not even close to 50% at all. So yeah, it's good because they only let a certain amount of people inside the group. So the amount of people that actually know how to do this stuff is small, and of course the amount of people that take action from that, as you know, Joe, because we sell courses and we see how often people apply this stuff, is even smaller. But like just the scope of how much land is out there is insane. I was looking at a new state the other day, and there's just some states have hundreds of counties, and in each county there's thousands and thousands of vacant parcels. I believe there's like 350 million pieces. I don't know what you would call it, like either a house or its land. So there's about 350 million pieces of property in the country, and I think something like 50% of that is vacant land. So yeah, it's not, no one's stepping on each other's toes, and it's like I've definitely mailed places that other people have mailed before, and vice versa, and deals still come back. So it's peculiar to see what actually leads to a response. It might just be, a time and a place. It might be that your offer is better. So yeah, I don't think there's a lot of saturation going on. But for me, in terms of sustainability, I feel like it's better because it's an online business, but it's not subject to any of the big corporations, the Google, the Facebook, the Shopify. So it's just mail, right? It's just mail and dirt.
Yeah.
None of that's going away anytime soon.
Yeah, and we got a question in the chat. So we mentioned a hockey stick reference earlier, and they didn't understand it. So basically what that means is that when you're looking at the growth trajectory of a business, is that it's kind of flat, and then it grows exponentially at the end, like how a hockey stick curves. That's what that means, rather than just being straight up in a straight line.
Yes. It's not linear growth. It's growth, and then there's a hockey stick motion.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Sellable. It's sustainable. I mean, we've come to the agreement that it's definitely sustainable, even though that was one of the doubts that I had at first.
Yep. And then sellable. So this one is a bit tricky because usually we refer to something as sellable if the business itself is sellable. And so I would say your land business as a whole is not sellable, but the business itself is like getting such big assets and then selling those. So it's kind of like you can sell a mini website in every transaction. So to me, it's kind of I consider it sellable in that case, but it's not like you can have a big exit at one period of time, because it just kind of depends. Like you send out if you don't send out mail, nothing's going to come back. But yeah, people make hundreds of thousands of dollars on one deal. There are people that make even millions of dollars on one deal. Someone in the group was even talking about that recently. They made like $1.5 million profit on a deal. So to me, it's sellable.
Yeah,
and the whole business model is selling huge assets.
Yeah, and on top of that, I can imagine there could be a situation where you just sell your entire portfolio of land if it came down to that for some reason.
Like you had to liquidate?
Yeah, or you got acquired. I can imagine, maybe you own hundreds of parcels or thousands of. Not that this would actually happen to us anytime soon, but then you get acquired by like a big something. I could see that as a possibility, but the reasons
It
you
is
mentioned,
possible. And another thing I want to mention is instead of acquiring a property, say for $5,000, and then you sell it for $15,000, what you can do is you can sell a property on terms. It's also called rent to own. So you acquire this property, and instead of just flipping it outright, you list it as okay. You put $5,000 down, maybe put $6,000 down, and then you pay, $200 a month, 10% interest for 5 years, whatever. So that way you're actually making a bigger margin, and it attracts a bigger buyer pool. And what's cool about that is if someone backs out, like they stop paying, with rent to own, it's not like, you have a tenant that's living in your house, or you don't have to evict them. Basically, you still own the property, you're holding the note, so you become the bank. So if they stop paying, they're done, they're out. And you can just resell the property, or you can refinance it to someone else, and you can make a lot of money that way. But there are also people that will buy those notes from you. So if you have a property, it's been getting payments for a year of $200. Like I said, someone will buy that sort of note from you. So that is out there. I haven't explored that too much, but that is a way that you can sell a property in a different way.
yeah. So now let's get into the. So wait, it definitely fulfills 4 out of 6. There was, I think, 2 that was questionable, which was the compounding results and the low risk, but still ticks 4 out of 6 boxes. So it's the Bow seal of approval.
Yep.
The Epic Review Show says, Joe and Mike love what you guys are doing. Just wanted to thank you guys for the information you guys give. Well, we love you as
Do you
well.
know what that is?
No.
Okay.
We love you for being a viewer. Anyway, so Mike, mail sent. Tell us about this.
So just a basic summary of what happened. So we've sent out our first piece of mail on January 13th, 2020. And we're going to stop talking about kind of the results after August 4th, because after that, there's still like new stuff coming in. So what happens is you send out mail, it takes 2 weeks to get there. And then over the next few weeks or even months, people come, they want to sell their land, and then you have to get the property closed, right? So it's not a super quick process, especially depending where you are. So like I want to just focus on deals that we've actually done, meaning we've actually bought the property, instead of just talking about like theoretical numbers that we might get once we acquire a property. So
Okay.
we did 25 deals. We acquired 25 properties, and we have 16 properties pending, and more in the works.
All right. So now to the pieces of mail.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I want to make a correction. The last mailer with completed deals that we're going to talk about is up to September 1st, not August 4th. So my bad.
All
So
right.
mail sent to date has been around 42,000 pieces. Mail sent as of September 1st is 23,000. So to me, this is why I like this business model so much. We've really barely scratched the surface of what can be done. There's people that send out 40,000 pieces of mail a month. So when we talk about the earnings, it's easy to see how scalable this business is because for one, it's just so easy to send out more mail, and you can also pick and choose the type of properties you're going to go after. You'll see here as we move forward, I kind of went towards some lower dollar properties in the beginning just to kind of test the waters, but you can really start doing bigger properties, and you'll see that as well as we dive in. So spent around $27,000 in mail, but as of September 1st, it was around $13,000, and then there's the cost of downloading all the data from the data companies, and so we'll just say $20,000 up to September 1st for everything: data, mail, pictures of the properties, whatever expenses. We'll just call it 20,000.
Quick question, and I think we should say these numbers a little more clear for the podcast listeners. So it says here that the total mailer cost was $27,000. the total mailer cost as of September 1st mailer was 13,000, and the total data cost was 4,600. So
Mhm.
that adds up to 40 40,400. Sorry, it's 40 something thousand, right?
No, no, because I'm just looking at September 1st. So because we're going to look at the profits that we made up to September 1st, the gross profit, and so we're going to subtract that from the costs. So disregard
Oh,
that total mailer cost for now. We're just going to look at September 1st. Up to September 1st, we spent $13,000 in mail. We spent $4,600 in data, so that's about 17,600. And then I'm just going to round it up to 20,000
okay. So
after, you know, doing the drone footage, doing all the other stuff that you go through in this process. So I'm gonna call it 20,000 just to be conservative.
right, by so 20,000 up to September 1st, right?
Yes.
All right.
Correct.
Whoever formatted these slides uh, really emphasized the other numbers, not the 20,000. So I was a little confused.
20,000 should be emphasized. Yes.
All right.
That's like the total expense number that we're gonna look at up to September 1st, and we're gonna compare that towards what we've made with the flipping of the properties.
Gotcha. All right. Effective hourly rate.
So I just want to kind of highlight that. Really effective hourly rate is how much money you're making. It's a good way in internet marketing to kind of assess what you're doing and how worth it is. So this really shouldn't be a title slide, but anyway, the first mailer sent was January 13th. Last mailer with completed deals was August 4th. So we're looking at about 8 months of action. And so going into this, I was putting in a lot of effort because starting off the ground, it's not like, you just go into it and you know everything and you can just start outsourcing stuff. Especially in the course, they recommend doing everything yourself and like learning everything before you start working your way up. So in the beginning, I was so new to this. I was calling, I was scared to call the town's like planning and zoning offices. I was looking through deeds, doing all this stuff. I was wasting probably a lot of my time in order to figure out what the most important things were. And then towards the end, it was a lot more autopilot. And so, the profit numbers that we're going to look at, I was spending a lot more time in the beginning to get those profits versus now it's just kind of not autopilot, but it's a little bit more passive.
Yeah. So mailer first, January 13th. 1,159 units of mail cost us $659, and we bought 3 pieces.
Yeah, so this was just sent to one county, and this was the first piece of mail we did. And so we bought the course, I think literally December 30th or something. So I wanted to have everything, we're all about taking action quick. So I wanted to make sure that we were doing just that and just get something out and dive in. So we did that. And so we were able to acquire 3 properties from this. And so we were talking about terms before, right? So we did have a terms deal. That was one of the first things that we did. So we bought something for $5,200, and then we were able to sell it for $5,000 down. And I think we get like $133 a month or $166 a month for somewhere around 36 months. And there's some interest involved in that too. So after that term is over, we will make $8,300 profit. Not too bad. The second deal was $1,150 we put into it. We sold it for $4,500, and so profit on that was $3,300. Not too bad once again. And third deal, $950, sold for $2,500. Profit was $1,600. And so looking at this, I mean, it's pretty solid. We made around $5,000 in just straight flip from properties 2 and 3, and then we're making, a nice little chunk of change each month. And we
Right.
paid for, that first property. It already paid for the
Right.
expense.
Important to note here. So the amount of cash that we laid out would be the 659 for this first mailer. Will be the 659 plus the 5200 plus the 1150 plus the 950. So I'm just wondering, like, I want to get an idea of, like, if someone doesn't have that much money, like, how much would they have after it was all said and done, considering the terms thing. So I think,
How much would they have after that?
yeah, yeah. So say someone started with $10,000, you might be not 10,000. Maybe someone started with like $8,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get one term deal and you get these two other deals. You might.
What would your bank balance look like after that?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out on the fly here. But yeah, that's something you can.
It would be about 12,000 plus $133 a month.
Yeah,
Because 4,500 plus 2,500 is 7,000 plus 5,000 down is 12,000, and then, like I said, you're getting that monthly payment in there.
yeah. All right, cool.
So
Just something to think about. Not a bad
yeah,
thing. I'm just saying
it's
that.
definitely interesting to watch the bank balance grow with this, because it's kind of like, you're always in a cycle of getting money in, and then you got to shell money out to buy more property, and then it comes back in. And I do want to mention that, we're looking at this like in terms of mailer one goes out and all these properties come in, but it's kind of like after a while things start to bleed together. You know what I'm saying? Because mailer one, we send that out, and then we send out another mailer, and it's like that third property didn't come in until a couple months after we send out this mail. So it's not always necessarily like this clean and in this order, but this is just how it worked out over time. So that's why I wanted to do this as well, just for even our sake, because, I'm in the thick of it for this whole year. And so it's nice to see what actually happened from a 30,000 foot view and see how it all worked out. But
Yeah,
it's a lot more messy.
yeah. It's not like when I was doing arbitrage. It would like go. My bank balance would go down, then it would go up a little more, then it would go down,
Exactly.
then it would go back up. Whereas like with drop shipping, I felt like it just was kind of like usually going up for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. Drop shipping should be always going up, because you're not really shelling anything out up front.
Yeah. All right. So mailer two. I guess we'll go through these a little faster now, but tell us about mailer two.
Sure. So one county again, bought a piece for 4,500, sold for 8,000. Profit was 3,500. This is actually the first piece we ever bought just by, again, so we sent this out 4 days after we sent out the first one. So you can see I'm moving pretty quick here in terms of sending out the mail in the beginning. So this wound up being the first property we ever bought, made 3,500 on it. Decent. I'd like to see that return a little bit higher. And property two, we bought for 11,000, sold it for 15,000. We had a realtor sell it for us, so we only wound up with 2,100 at the end of the day with that. So I think that's kind of an example of one of the worst case scenarios. Still 20% profit margin, and compared to drop shipping, I mean that's about a standard drop shipping profit margin. So that's why I like land so much, is because the ROI is so much higher.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So mailer number three.
Again, a week later, sent out 559 units. Cost me $310. Only got one piece out of that, which is pretty good for 500 units. And so we had someone else fund this deal, so you could see little $0 in the parentheses. So we shelled out $0. They paid for the whole acquisition. Sold it for 3,500. Again, with the realtor involved. So out of that, we got $4,000. Not bad for putting 300 in, 0 in for the deal. getting 4,000 out.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. All right, well, I'll ask it later. We'll go on to the next one. Mailer number 4. Oh, I want to say, by the time we sent out this third mailer, or the second mailer, I want to just give people a picture of how fast we were taking action here. I don't even know if like the website was up by the time the second mailer went out, because I remember we were like, all right, we're gonna get, we were doing everything on forcing ourselves into a time crunch just to get it all out. Where I feel like sometimes a lot of people they'll kind of not do everything at once. It's like Operation Warp Speed. It's like you do the clinical.
Yeah, you got to do things at Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah,
you got to push yourself, because I mean, once we send out that first piece of mail, we have 2 weeks before people are going to be literally trying to go onto that website. So you have to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like, get everything ready. Google My Business, like mailbox, everything set up to all the logistics were being set up while that first mailer was going out. So anyway, mailer number 4.
So that came only 4 days after the last mailer. Sent out 875 units, bought 2 pieces, and still one is pending from this. It's almost a year later, Joe.
Yeah.
So it just shows you what happens sometimes. And I should even say the second piece here, we just got it like last month. And so that was an absolute nightmare. Because keep in mind also there was COVID, so things were shut down, but it's not excusable how bad this attorney was. But in any event, bought a piece for $8,500 after closing costs, all that. And then we found out it was really not an ideal piece. We had a realtor go look at it, a land specialized realtor that we trust. And he wasn't very fond of it. But at this point, it was too late. We had already got all the wheels moving. And I think I kind of panicked at the time because I thought it would be just worthless. So I was trying to get it out any way possible. So I just sold it on terms, $3,000 down, $14,000 on terms, which I think after terms comes out to like $17,000. So after the term is up, which I think is like 3 years, we'll make $7,000. So again, nothing to sneeze at for kind of a bad selection. Nowadays, if I had sent out this mail, I work with this land realtor a lot. I would have just not bought this property because he would have said, "Oh, it's not good." I would have just moved on to a better deal. But instead, it's nothing to sneeze at.
I mean, that's not a bad ROI for a property that you wouldn't have bought if you can go back.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say here is like this. That was a screw up, and yeah. And again, if say that term person drops out, well, they've already paid me the money down plus all the payments, and so now my acquisition cost, it's already eaten into several $1,000s of that. I think we get like $250 a month from this property, so that's a nice little chunk of change. There are people that just do terms, so they focus on getting deals in, strictly selling on terms, and it's a good way to build up a nice little monthly cash flow system. But it's a kind of a separate business model. It has its own problems. So yeah, property 2, got it for $7,000. It's still in the market for $19,000. I'm pretty confident we could sell it at something like that, and that would give us $10,000 profit in the end. So
right, but we didn't sell this one yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So what's interesting about as we're getting into this is that going back to the requirements that we have for doing an online business, we said that this didn't have compounding effects, but I think in a way it kind of might, because like you're saying, you're getting inquiries about mailers that you sent out a while back, right? So
that's true. But I would still not say the results are compounding. Just because putting out 5,000 units of mail each month is not going to get us exponentially better results just on the fact that we're putting out mail consistently each month.
Right. No, not exponentially better, but I could see over the course of a few years after sending out tons and tons of mail, you would have a deal flow coming in, just by the nature of doing that. So in that way,
Yeah,
there is some sort of maybe not compounding, but residual effect.
there's that, and there's also just the idea of having like the more this business model. I love it because when we talked to Steve and Jill about this, we were saying how they really flipped the script on it. We're used to essentially people searching, and then we're trying to show up in front of them. This is the opposite. We're going to the people and giving them an offer for what they have.
Yeah.
So the more of those that you can put out over time, it's just if you put out 1,000,000 pieces of mail over time, what are the chances of people keep coming in, or people come in and it's like one day you're going to land a really big fish just because of the sheer volume of mail that you put out. So I like that element about it a lot because they talk about it like sometimes you'll hit a single, sometimes you'll hit a double, sometimes triple, sometimes you'll hit a home run. And so I would say maybe we've only hit 1 or 2 home runs. But given the amount of mail that we put out, it's not too bad. And I'm okay with hitting singles and doubles, doubling my money every mailer or every piece of property I acquire. And then, like I said, the more you put out, the likelier you are to get those really, really good returns.
All right. So mailer number 5. This was a big
So
one.
this was one of the best mailers I ever did. And I don't know how this happened, but yeah, we actually ended up buying 5 properties. We still have another one that's pending. So that's going to be 6 total properties off of 2,200 units. And I think it was a combination of the way that I priced it. So I think I went a little bit higher on this. I kind of may have overpriced some things and smaller acreage. So I think it was between like 1 and 4 acres. And so I think the combination of doing that actually gave me a pretty good yield. And so we wound up getting some pretty decent properties from it. So one we bought for around 7,000, sold for 17,000, made $7,000 on it. And that's profit. So to me, making $7,000 profit, like if you can do that or better consistently, then it's really like a hack. $7,000, if you can just do one of those a month, 12 months, that's $84,000. I mean, the average American salary is less than that, and you can get that off of just one deal a month. So, yeah, I think this stuff is powerful. Property number 2 cost us about $6,800 with everything. That one is still on the market, so that's why it's a little question mark. We haven't sold it yet. And I think that one will sell maybe for $13,900 or $12,900, something like that. And then we'll make a couple $1,000 on it. Again, not bad for a screw up. Property 3, we deal funded that. And the funder paid $8,700. We sold it for $18,000. So after realtor costs and deal funding splits, we'll make $2,300, which is okay for not putting any money in. Another property we bought for $6,800, sold for $19,000. So pretty good. Make $10,000 profit, $9,500. And then another one was partial deal funding. So we put in $1,900. They put in, I think it was $8,100 total. So they put in the rest. Sold for $16,500. We'll make $3,000 on it. So just off this one mailer, we have the first property, $7,000. Say we make $2,000 on property 2, $9,000, $2,300 on property 3. It's $11,000 roughly. $9,000. Property 4, $20,000. Property 5, $3,000. So this is right around $23,000 profit we'll make off this one mailer that costs us $1,000 to put out. And we have another property pending from it, which I think is also a really good property. Probably another buy for 7, sell for somewhere between 17 and 19. So
yeah,
should be around $8,000 profit. So that's like, I don't know. I like it. What do you think, Joe?
Well, one thing you mentioned that was interesting was you mentioned the average American salary, um, being around $7,000 a month or something like that, whatever you said. But when I see these
Definitely less
numbers,
than that.
yeah, when I see, yeah, it is less than that. But when I see these numbers, I think of like the cost of a college tuition or a college degree. Whereas $7,000, which we bought that first property for, is only going to cover a fraction of that, maybe a small fraction. And even so, that college degree has no intrinsic value unless you put in more, unless you put in more hours down the line. Whereas if you spend $7,000 or $8,000 on a piece of land, you have something with intrinsic value that
Yeah.
you can sell for more later. So it's very,
Well,
it's
keep
very
harping on that point, Joe, because I have to piss really bad. So I'll
okay.
be right back.
Well, I don't really have much to say while Mike goes to the bathroom, but yeah, it's very interesting the way, I guess, just the way money works in that regard. How acquiring assets is just so far superior than doing labor. Maybe this is some sort of societal commentary or something like that, but yeah, it's just so far superior because when assets make you money, like you don't have to do anything. They just make money by the nature of them existing. And so, yeah, maybe you guys can throw some stuff in the chat while Mike goes to the bathroom. Nigel Thornberry says, "Bye, Mike." This is going on pretty long, this review, but we're getting towards the end. All right, here he comes. He's back.
What'd you talk about?
Nothing. I was making a social commentary on how assets are a lot more valuable than labor.
Yes. And at least, you get a college degree, that piece of paper is just going to sit there. At least the piece of paper that we're acquiring with a deed actually has some inherent value.
Well, what's even funnier is that you acquire the asset, like a piece of land, that should appreciate over time, whether you do anything or not.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, but I mean, most likely.
So actually, they were talking about this recently. Land does not really appreciate that much over time. Maybe, yeah, over like 20 years probably, but like 10-year span, it's not going to go up that much. But yeah, also, like you should be doing deals at your comfort level in terms of the amount of money you're willing to put down. So like now I'm fine putting down 15,000, 20,000 for a deal. If I'll put down whatever for a deal if I know that it's a really, really good deal. And so that's part of the compounding skill set is that, you get good at this, or you develop connections with different land realtors that will go to the property and, tell you exactly what they think because they're going to the property. The better and better you get at this, the more the risk goes down, the more you're going to make. So you can be more sure of your results and you can kind of be more, you can think bigger with what you want to do.
Yeah. So we have Jill DeWitt in the chat.
Oh, wow. She... What's up, Jill?
And Yafet Howard says, "I literally have $500 in savings. It's because of you guys. I actually have a vehicle for earning my first million. Just want to say thanks for the invaluable content."
Well, thank you, Yafet. And
All right.
Hi, Nigel Thornberry as well.
Yeah. So I guess let's blaze through the rest of these mailers so we can kind of get to the.
We're almost done with
sum
the mailers, right? So
mailer number 6 on February 16th.
1,300 units approximately. 5 pieces bought. Yes. Okay. I remember what this is. So if you look, we actually deal funded every single one of these. And again, this is really only 1 month into sending mail. We sent out our first mailer January 13th, February 16th. Like, we're still brand new at this. So this is when we really started getting into doing more deal funding. Deal funded every single one of them. Only one of them hasn't sold yet. And so we made 3,100 on one, 3,700 on another, 4,200 on another. So that's like 10,000 something profit.
Yeah.
um, plus whatever the other one sells for. And also, if you look at property number one, we like broke even on it. So that was probably property one and two here, probably the dumbest acquisitions of me doing this so far. And yeah, the properties were extremely sloped. So we paid way too much for them. They don't have as much value as I thought we did. So first one, I'm glad we sold. Bought for 4,900, sold for 6,000, and then this other one we're waiting to sell. I think we have it listed now at like 25,000. We bought for 15. So I mean, I'm sure someone will buy it at a certain point. It's a pretty big piece. It's a good number of acres. So yeah, it'll sell eventually. And worst that happens is either we break even or we'll just do some sort of terms deal.
Yeah. So mailer number 7, March 16th.
So 2,300 units to 2 counties. Only got deals in 1 county, but we were able to. We deal funded all of these again, I guess. And so one we bought for 10,000, or someone else bought it for 10,000, sold for 22. We made 4,000 on that after realtor fees, deal funding, all that. Another one, 8,500, sold for 17,000. And another one bought for 5,800, sold for 11,000. So this is really, again, only 2 months into the journey here. Going back, I probably would have just bought all these myself. And so instead of making $10,000, we would have made like 20. So, that's a big difference. I mean, $10,000, $20,000 is a lot of money. But when you factor in that we didn't have to put anything into it, I'm happy to split this with someone because it's allowing me to learn at as little risk as possible.
Definitely. Mailer number 8.
Mailer number 8. See, we started sending out more and more mail here. So in the beginning, we were sending out 1,000 pieces, 500. Now we're doing 2,000, 2,000, and this one is over 5,000. But we only bought 2 pieces out of 4 counties that we sent to. And but as we were talking about, the more mail you put out, the more likely it is that you're going to land a home run. So we actually bought one for 14,000, sold it for 48,000, and we made $30,000 profit on that jump.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Making $30,000 in a month, it's not nothing to sneeze at. It's not. It takes a while to do that. Like all the other business models that we've done, when our dropshipping stores hit $30,000 a month profit, it's a lot to build up to that point. So yeah, it's amazing that it's just one transaction that can make that.
Yeah, and this transaction required such little effort on my part. Literally, the person, I did not even speak to them. They scanned in the signed agreement. I looked at the property. I said, oh crap. I sent it to my land realtor. He went and checked out the property. He said, yeah, you can get, $50,000 for this. Put the wheels in motion. Maybe made a couple calls to the town just to figure out, what the zoning is, make sure everything was all good there. And that's the extent of it. So, and I think that our results, Joe, are actually worse than what a lot of people do with Land Academy. Like most of the people that take action, they're blowing us out of the water. There are plenty of people that make $50,000 a month profit, all the way up to I don't even know. If Jill's still here, she can chime in on what people are making. But I think, these results are pretty typical. So I think it's nothing to sneeze at. And yeah, property number 2, bought for 0. Deal funded it for $27,000. Sold for $42,500. And so it only makes $6,000 on that. Again, if this was later in the game, I would have just paid for this property, and then instead of making 6,000, we would have made, I guess, 12.
Yeah, part of the reason probably why we haven't done as much as some of the other members is because we're stuck doing, not stuck, but we're doing a lot of things. You know, we have this channel, we have a bunch of different other businesses. And
Yeah.
when we first started this, I remember when we first getting started, we were in the process of selling one of our drop shipping stores. We were referring to it as clearing the runway for landing. So we're gonna. I think that's gonna be a continuous process that we're gonna be doing, is automating and selling the other business models, aside for a selective, one drop shipping store. We're hiring someone for Kindle right now, hiring a full time person. We're going to be hiring someone for this as well. So there's a few things that we have to put in place just because of all the other things that we've been doing to 10x this.
Yeah, and I also mean in the fashion of like there are people that send out, they'll do their first 20,000 mailers, and they'll have a property that they buy for like 10,000, sell for 60,000. I'm just saying, like, these results are not anything crazy or lucky. I feel like, if anything, we're on the lesser end in terms of the results people get.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've heard people buying for 5, selling for 55, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's part of it.
And
I mean, that's part of everything. I guess that just shows how important it is to keep doing it. Doing anything you're doing over the long term, because you're going to have fluctuations in your luck.
yeah, I also, like, we come across this a lot with our students, because you see some students that they just buy the course, and I wouldn't call it luck, but it's just statistics, right? Some people are going to have success quicker than others, and even though they're really putting in the same amount of effort, it's just kind of the roll of the dice sometimes. But it's not about those beginning results. It's about who's going to be consistent in doing it over time, and that's really who's going to come out on top in the end, the person that's going to be doing the consistent action. And so, like, things really did not go that well for us in the beginning. I ran into a lot of headaches, and so it looks clean now that we're showing, okay, these are the final results. But like, that first deal that we ever acquired was actually a nightmare for multiple reasons. I don't want to get into it now because this video is long enough. But like, I'm just saying, this not, we had to overcome some hurdles, and I knew it was worth it just because we understood what the potential of the business was. So if this was any other stupid course that we bought from the Warrior Forum or anything like we would have just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But you need to have a reason to persist, and you need to be confident that what you're doing has the gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah. All right. Mailer 9. This is the last one that we're going to go over the totals.
Cool. So we sent out 8,200 units, spent $4,300 to do that. 4 counties. We bought 2 pieces from 1 county, and we still have 3 pieces pending. Again, that's from 2 counties. So we bought one for $13,000 and sold for $25,000. So it's $12,000 profit. Nothing to sneeze at. And the other one we deal funded came to around $16,800 for all in, and then we sold it for $35,000. So at the end of the day, we got $9,000 profit out of that. So, I mean, compared to some of the other yields that we saw in some earlier mailers, in terms of like that one where we sent out 2,200 units, we got like 5 or 6 deals back. This is 8,200 units, and we only got 2 deals back so far, and we'll only get really another 3 right now. But one deal we bought for 13, sold for 25, made $12,000. That more than covers the mail expense. So even if we picked one property out of 8,000 pieces of mail, we were still able to turn a nice profit because of that. If we just did that one deal, $12,000 minus $4,000 in mailer cost, that's still $8,000. Just do one of those a month. That's 6 figures a year.
Yeah. There you have it. 6 figures a year for one transaction a month.
Yeah.
All right. So, we have one more mailer. Wait, no, we have a few
Well,
more mailers. Oh, this is
well,
yeah.
but this is where we're stopping the results because it's too early to tell what's going to happen with these. Um, but so August 4th was the last mailer we got deals from that we're going to talk about. But September 1st, I sent out 5,200 units, one county. I'm not going to buy any pieces. And this is not for lack of deals coming in from this county. In fact, it's because we actually got way too many deals coming in from this county. And I don't know what's going on. I suspect something weird is up. A lot of these properties that I didn't realize at first were in communities like, subdivision communities. So like it's private. So it's not like anybody can go and look at the property. You're also subject to the rules of this homeowners association or property owners association. So like just too much work to figure it out and too much risk because people are literally sending me deals back and they're like, take it for $0. I don't care. So, it's not, I'm not going to force a deal to happen there.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
$3,000, whatever.
All right.
Make it back on the next mailer. So yeah, we could briefly just breeze through these. We're not going to talk about, the actual ROIs on these. Sent out 8,000 units in October. Many pending deals from all three counties, so that's good. And then go to the next slide. November 5th, 5,400 units. 3 counties have 2 deals coming in from that. So these are also mailing them bigger properties now. In the beginning, was spending maybe, some of the ones in the beginning was like $1,000, $5,000. Really shooting to spend over $10,000, so that way we can make $5,000 to $10,000 or more on each property, which I think is really the threshold for when you really start getting into some serious money with this.
Yeah. So mailer 13 didn't hit yet.
Yeah, because it takes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
and before we unveil the year 1 results, I think Jill sent out an email letting people know that we're live. That's why we have 33 viewers.
Oh, wow.
Well, you came just in time for the year 1 results. All right. So all mail up to mailer 11, 30,000 units. And so here are the year 1 results.
So where are we at? We're back to the first slide.
Oh, wait. What is that, a duplicate? Duplicate slide?
No, I think we just to go over it again. So
okay.
Kind of summarizing it again. We sent out 42,000 pieces, but we'll look at the results up to September 1st because that's kind of when we have completed deals. So $23,000. So total mailer costs out of the whole year, which again, we still have the results coming in for that, was around $27,000. But for the sake of the profit numbers we're going to talk about in the following slides, we're just going to talk about up to September 1st. So we're going to estimate around $13,000 for the mail cost, $4,600 for the data cost. I'm way overshooting this just to kind of make things clean. And so we're going to say $20,000 total for data, mail, advertising. We were doing a little bit of like Facebook marketing stuff, drone footage, stuff like that. We'll just call it $20,000.
All right. So
probably less.
We have some more expenses here. Well,
just a breakdown of the numbers. So $23,000 in mail, 23,000 pieces of mail, $20,000 total expense, 27 properties acquired. So if we break this down, this is around 1 in 920 letters is leading to 1 acquisition. So that's a $500 CPA, cost per acquisition, which is pretty good. And as you saw in the, as we broke down the mailers, some are better, some are worse. And I think it does depend on if you go after bigger properties, bigger acreage, or bigger dollar amounts, you tend to have less yield. So it may take $1,000 or sorry, 1,000 pieces of mail, 3,000 pieces of mail to get one good property in. If you're talking about a high dollar property, but it's worth it. But with the 1 acre properties, things are less than $10,000. We're seeing more like 1 in 500, even somewhere like 1 in 300, 1 in 400. So there's that, and there's also the learning curve factor of it. Some things we bought that we shouldn't have bought, or some things we priced wrong, so we didn't get any deals back in that county. So this is just our results after year 1.
Yeah. So here is the profit, the actual profits.
Yeah. So we've already made $111,000 plus $400 a month in net profit. Like I said, off of $20,000 expense. And so 22 properties were sold, 23 properties still for sale, 3 are still in process up to September 1st, and then 14 more properties in process for mailers after September 1st. So yeah, we're already at over 6 figures, and we still have like 14 or 17 more properties that are still coming in from these mailers. So should do pretty well by the end of the year. But I wanted to kind of just come and deliver some as hard numbers as possible, because you don't see people talking about this a lot. I think it's helpful to see actual mailer yields. So what do you think, Joe?
I'm blown away by the amount of effort that you put into this presentation as far as the numbers go. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's pretty impressive. This is good stuff. I mean, I'm honestly looking forward to, in the next couple years, like I said before, clearing out the runway and focusing on land, focusing on real estate. I think we have a little while before we can get there, just given how our other businesses are and how we need to sell them or fully outsource some things. But I'm excited about it. I think this is where you want to go. If you look at the online asset pyramid, the online asset playbook, which we talk about, we always recommend doing drop shipping as the first thing. And then we have a few other things we recommend after that: Kindle publishing, creating blogs. But I think this is really the end game for any person who is in business to make money, because, like I said earlier, assets are just worth so much more than labor. And I heard this quote from I don't know, some documentary that I watched, and it was like, I don't remember, but it was like, to turn $100 into $1,000 is a lot of work, but to turn $1 million, or to turn $10 million into $20 million is inevitable. Like, it's just going to happen if you do a few things right. So I think yeah, that's why this is such a good place to end up after you've built up your chest of capital.
Yeah. And, we got a lot of people watching right now. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them. We will get to them. And, like and subscribe as well if you want to see more content like this. But Will Harova says, "You got paid to learn the business. Thanks for sharing this." And that's the exact point that I wanted to get at, is this is just year 1 of learning everything from scratch. We've talked about some other businesses that we've done, obviously, in previous videos. And, the first year is always the hardest, because you have to start from ground zero, figure out what to do, what not to do. And then once you figure out what works, that's when you can really dial in and get really good results. Like our SEO sites, our content sites, the first year, Joe, what were our results like?
Pretty bad. Just lost money and disappointment.
Yeah. Negative money, negative happiness, but we knew that it was going to work out just because of, following the principles that we talk about. So year 2, year 3, it's now a 6-figure business for us. So I'm pretty encouraged by these results just from year 1, just from, not knowing, again, what a deed was. So it's nothing to sneeze at, as we say.
Yeah.
So what's the next slide, Joe?
We have some questions as well, by the way, in the chat.
Well,
Oh, here we go. Next slide. Total money in, total money out, total profit, 83% ROI.
Yeah, and so I did this. Like if you go and you add up what we actually spent, it's less than this because I'm just taking. I wanted to look at what the average ROI is on a land deal. So this includes the money that other people shelled out for us doing the deal funding. So the total of that, of our money and their money, 242,000, and then total money out, which again, not all of it went to us, 445,000. So that's an 83% ROI.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about this on a previous video. Is we bought a good number of physical products for one of our drop shipping stores because the product was going out of business, or the product was being discontinued, and we already had articles written for this product. You know, it was a good seller for us, and so we said, why not? You know, we'll take over the entire market share for this product, and we'll sell them eventually. And it's like, even with the discount that we got out of that, we were still only going to make like 20%, maybe 25% ROI after ad spend, after everything. And it cost us like $40,000 to buy all these products. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, well, I know I should do it, but if I just put that $40,000 into land, like putting 40 in and making 60 out, a $20,000 profit, that's like not good margin for land.
Yeah, and so many more transactions to manage.
Yeah, and so yeah, the ROI in this business is unlike anything I've ever seen. In terms of drop shipping, you're looking at 20%. Even if you own the physical product, you warehouse it, really the best situation possible, I don't even know, 30, 40%. So yeah.
Cool.
If you compare it to SEO, I mean, you can have better ROI, but it takes years and years to get that return. Same with Kindle, kind of. So this is just for the sheer quickness of how you can put the money in and take the money out. It's unparalleled.
Yeah, this is basically arbitrage on steroids.
Yeah. And so like some of these deals, especially in one particular state that we work in, deals take very, very long. And I'm going to start moving away from that state because of this. And factor in COVID as well. Like that has surely screwed things up. I know people that are, all my attorneys, all my title companies are insanely busy now because of just the market that's been created because of COVID, on top of the shutdowns affecting the speed of things. So that's also probably why we didn't make as much as we could have this year, just because of how long things are taking to churn around. But we have one state that we worked in that was mailer number 9, Joe, if we want to go back to that.
There you go.
So these two deals, in the state that we worked in, we were actually able to get these done extremely quickly. So it took us about 2 weeks to buy them, and then we put them on the market. Both of them sold within a couple weeks. And then to close these properties, we were able to get them closed, so the money back into our account in like 7 to 10 days after someone was willing to buy it. So that is really powerful to just in 1 month turn $13,000 into $25,000.
Yeah.
It's all about the speed of transaction, which I know Steve talks about a lot, and so I'm trying to get into that as well because it is important. You put the $13,000 in. If you have to wait a year for it to turn into 25, that's not as good as waiting a month for it to turn into 25.
Yeah. So we have some questions in the chat. How did the deal funding work out? Was it worth it? I saw you on Land Tank.
Who said that?
I don't know how to say her name.
Trying to catch up to where we are.
Siren Shield.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, deal funding works. I was surprised at how many people are there that are willing to actually fund deals. And so I understand it more now. But if you remember, Joe, like the first time we ever did Land Tank, I was like, I'm going to put this up here. I had like major resistance to it, to filling out all the little things. And then, we click go on it. And then within 20 minutes, someone was like, yeah, I'll fund the deal. And so, yeah, I mean, it works out. There's not much to talk about. They say, hey, I'll give you the money. Just let me know when it's ready to close. And then they wire the money. But on top of that, it's actually been really good for helping me learn the business, because I've been able to essentially partner up with more experienced people. So, it's good for networking. You get to talk to them. You get to bounce things off them, see what their journey's been like. I've even met up with, one of my major funders in person. So it's allowed me to make some really, really valuable connections. And a lot of deals now, I don't even have to put on Land Tank. I'll just text, some of my people that like funding the deals, and they say, yeah, I'll take it. So
Cool. So did you learn the materials from Land Academy, or is it a combination of your own knowledge plus the information they gave you?
100% from Land Academy. I had no knowledge before taking the course, but I mean, I will say that it's not like they can tell you everything that's going to happen or teach you all this stuff just in the course. The course just shows you really the basics of how everything works, how to do the pricing and the research, which is like the most important thing. And then from there, you have to just send out mail and kind of learn on your own, because every county is different. Um, so, you have to deal with different town zoning laws. You have to deal with all these little things that maybe they could have done a little bit of a better job explaining, just that was going to happen. But really, Land Academy creates the ecosystem for doing all this through not just the course materials, but offers to owners, which I see commented on this. Thank you, offers to owners. That where you can send out the mail, and they own Neighbor Scoop, which allows you to take the offers that come back in. You can look them up, see what the exact parcel looks like, see sometimes transaction history on the parcel, just all sorts of stuff, which like they flat out invented that. They created that software. Without that, it would the process of doing this would be a million times harder. I don't know what other people use that do this and were never in Land Academy. So yeah, you have to do a lot yourself, but that's good. I want that barrier to entry. I mean, it's just like anything. Even in our courses, we can't possibly tell you all the roadblocks you're going to run into, because they're going to be specific to what industry you're going in, the suppliers, who the suppliers have hired that month that's going to do something stupid. So, you have to be mature about it and be willing to learn on your own.
Yeah. So what percentage what percentage of your profit did you reinvest into mailers?
Um, I mean, I guess we can do that math, but I don't really look at it like that. I'm just, I'm just consistently mailing. I'm not waiting until deals come back and then say, okay, I'll split off 20% and use this for more mail. Because once you kind of see what's happening, it's like you can just see the writing on the wall that this is working. Deals are coming in. The more deals I send out, the more this is going to keep growing. So I don't need to wait for deals to come in and like have some set number split off.
Yeah. What states are faster to close, and what's your 2021 outlook?
What states are faster to close? Well, I don't know, because I've really only worked in 4 states. So any state that is not an abstract state is probably quicker. And it really just depends on, I guess, your connections. Because again, with COVID, it's hard to tell, because I know a lot of attorneys and title companies and abstract companies are busier than they've ever been, probably because of the insane real estate market right now. So that's definitely screwed things up. But so it's hard to say. But like in an abstract state, or in a if you're using a title company where they don't do their own title searches and they're ordering it from like First American Title or one of the big title agencies, then you're going to be stuck waiting with everyone else. It's going to take you 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes even 2 months. We've had to wait for these title searches or abstract updates to happen. So if you can find someone that does it themselves, or like a title company, a title attorney office that does it themselves, then you can close deals a lot faster. But it just comes down to finding them.
Yeah. And the last question we have so far is: did you mail once per month or once per quarter? We went through how often we mailed. It wasn't. I mean, I think it was just whenever you felt it, whenever you did the research. I don't think we were mapping it out that way. It was just we were mailing when we were mailing, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people that joined kind of came in at the end. So if you go back and watch from the beginning, we actually break down every mailer we did and when we ordered that mailer. So you can go and see the exact dates, the exact numbers, and the exact deals that came out of each mailer. So in the beginning, it was more than one a month, but then I kind of took a break because I had too many deals coming in. And then now I'm trying to get it at like a solid one mailer order per month. But I'm just trying to grow that order size each month.
Yeah, but we're in the process of hiring someone actually, so that should definitely help and be able to help us like
Yeah,
scale
because
up
at
this
this
operation.
point, at 10,000 units a month, which I'm not even really hitting yet, but it's already becoming a lot for me to handle. I have one of my employees basically handling incoming calls for me, but I still have to, look up each deal, kind of figure out, do I want to close this sale? Not sale, but do I want to call them, see if I can negotiate this deal, all that stuff. And it kind of gets tedious. I know Steve and Jill have a transaction coordinator, so they're not even really getting involved until there's a signed purchase agreement. So I kind of want to get to that stage so that I can just blast the mail out and then just wait for the cream to rise to the top and just say, yeah, I want to buy that. And then they take care of the rest.
That's really what it's all about, isn't it? Is doing all the work, or sorry, doing none of the work or very little of the work up until the point where a decision has to get made. And then you make the decision.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. And in the course, in the equity planner that you get, they actually lay out like each task in the business and like what you should outsource, what you shouldn't outsource, and stuff like that. And so in the end, I just want to be doing the data portion of it, doing the pricing, and then the mail gets sent out. Deals come in. I look at the deals, say, yeah, do this one, and then they handle the rest. And so that's the most effective use of your time, because with some of our dropshipping stores, in the beginning, we were handling the calls, we we're doing the emails, doing the ads, all these things. And so if you're spending $2,000 a month in ads and it's becoming all you can handle in terms of emails, calls, stuff like that, you're not going to be able to push the button or even put in the focused effort of getting your ad spend from $2,000 to $6,000, where you can start quadrupling what you're making. So it's kind of the same thing with this.
Yeah. So are we going to talk about what we did wrong, what we did right, how to improve systems, effective hourly rate, and how to 10x? I guess we could touch on this since we have so many people watching.
Yeah, I mean, wait till people start dropping like flies, I guess. But yeah, we kind of talked about this, what we did wrong. So I think just a lot of it was a learning curve. Some things we did not buy, or some things we shouldn't have bought flat out. Like in one of the earlier mailers, we had a property that we broke even on. We had a property that's still for sale. And looking back now, I wouldn't have bought those properties. But I think that's really about it. You get the learning experience and you see what you did wrong just from taking action, right? One of the first mailers, we actually bought something for like 11,000 and then we sold it for 15. So we only made 2,000 on that because we had to pay the realtor. Um, so like again, that's an example of kind of a worst case. And really, in these situations, what I like doing now is getting land brokers and land realtors involved, like early on. For example, with a lot of these other deals that we did, I was directly mailing to counties that um, my trusted land realtors work in. So I'm giving them more deal flow. They're going and they're checking out the properties for me. They're telling me if it's good, if it's bad. So that way I know for sure if it's a good property or not. I have a more accurate idea of pricing. And so it allows me to invest more money, fund the deal myself because I know I'm going to get a decent chunk out of it.
Yeah. Um. So what we did right? What did we do right, Mike?
I think going off of what I said, the getting a land realtor involved wherever possible has been really good because we talk about outsourcing the front end of it where customers are calling, not customers, potential sellers are calling, and we need someone to kind of field that and do the initial due diligence and kind of handle that part. When you work with a land realtor, they're gonna take care of the other half of once you acquire it. They're gonna take pictures of it. They may even take drone footage of it. They'll list it, and so it essentially takes out the whole half of the sales portion for 8% of the sale. So for me, it's well worth it because it's completely outsourcing to an expert the whole half of the business. So and it's only a small fraction of what you bought it for.
Yeah, that took a lot of time when we first started. I remember I was doing all the drone coordination, and then it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of uploading, a lot of downloading. Um, so yeah, that definitely made a big difference once you started working with realtors in the areas that you're mailing to.
Yeah,
And
makes
then
it a more important thing, and
there's no
really,
second guessing. I mean, there's no more like, like before it was a little bit of like a guessing game. Like we'd be looking at a property and be like, yeah, but what about this? What about this? We can't see this because we can't actually go there.
mm-hmm.
So having someone be able to actually go there is really, really where it's at. I mean, there's really no, if you're going to scale and be able to make smart decisions, I don't see any other way around it.
Yeah, and on top of the fact that they're going to do all this and they're an expert in their field, and you're not even paying them until they deliver. So
Yeah.
if they cancel the property, then the listing expires. Say you do a 1 year listing, a 6 month listing, then you just take it back. You sell it on terms or something, and you move on. So
Yeah.
but usually they know what they're doing to a good extent.
Cool. So, how to improve systems? I think we just talked about that. Is that in order for us to send more mail, we have to have someone coordinating the deals so that by the time Mike takes a look at it, it's going to be a signed purchase agreement and not a pending thing where there's back and forth. That's going to be the next way to improve systems. And then once we do that, we can send out a lot more mail.
Yeah, because I can't spend 40 hours a week just handling inbound leads and getting those signed purchase agreements. So if someone can spend 40 hours a week doing that, then I can send them enough mail to take up their time. And then boom, you get another person in doing that. You can double your mail. That's how it has to be done. And then effective hourly rate, which is, we talked about it in the beginning. A lot of people weren't here, but effective hourly rate is just if you spent 3 hours on a deal and you made $3,000 on it, your effective hourly rate was $1,000 an hour. So, I can't go in and calculate an effective hourly rate here because I was living and breathing doing this for basically the entire year, just in terms of gathering knowledge and gaining my footing. So it was definitely a lot lower than it could be, but just you have the potential there of, like we showed, it was a property that we got in for $14,000. We sold it for 48,000. It took maybe an hour, 2 hours of my time. So made $30,000 on it. That's at worst $15,000 an hour effective hourly rate, which is nothing to sneeze at, Joe.
No, not at
Nothing
all.
to sneeze at.
Not at all.
And so, how to 10x? Basically, it's exactly what we just said. Got to improve our systems and just send more mail out. If we sent out, what was it, 23,000 pieces and had this result of making $100,000, then we had to send out 230,000 pieces of mail, and then we'd make theoretically $1 million.
Yeah. And I brought this up with you the other day. I was asking Mike, should we use some of our other fancy things that we know about, like SEO and Google advertising, to bring us in more leads, rather than totally relying on sending out the mail? And the answer was no. The answer was, why do that when we could just send more mail? And this is what's interesting. I find that it's so straightforward with a lot of things. Like, for example, with drop shipping, people always want to come in and they want to do these fancy techniques outside of what we teach. But at the end of the day, you just need to go with what works, and then you got to lean into it.
Yes, as they say in the corporate world.
You got to lean
Yeah,
in.
so next quarter, we're going to lean into the mail. We're going to lean into doing more mail merges and, really take a radical approach to land acquisition.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What states will we be focusing on for 2021? Can we reveal that? How does that work?
Oopsie doopsie. That's a confidential secret. But the truth is, I also don't know. I'm just gonna probably test out a lot more different states. But really, any state works. I mean, just go look on LandWatch and just type in a state you're interested in. You can see all the available land for sale, and there are definitely people making it happen in virtually every state, minus those states that are non-solicitation states, so you can't mail them. You can't mail people in that state, rather. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's what's cool about this is, like, there's no secret formula or secret state or secret county that has all these amazing deals. Like, you can find these deals really everywhere. So, I don't know. The secret is to just send out a bunch of mail, see what works, what counties you like working in, what counties you like the properties in, and then you can set up connections there in terms of a title company you want to work with, or title attorney, or a land realtor. And so once you have those things set up, then it's a lot easier to go work in that county and all the adjacent counties, because you have someone's going to check out the properties. You have a company that is going to close the deals for you quick. And so that also kind of speeds up your acquisition process, and it makes things less of a headache for you going forward.
Yeah, cool. All right, we've been at this for an hour and 34 minutes. Should we wrap it up here?
Yeah, unless anyone has any other questions, but I think we've really exhausted it. So if you came in late, I really do suggest going back and just looking at all the mail results. I hope you'll find it insightful. And yeah, that's all I got to say, Joe. What about you?
That's all I got to say. I mean, I feel like I haven't done that much for this business, but I hope to get more involved as the runway clears, let's say, because this is a lot of what we do. Is it doesn't make sense really to have both of us figuring something out. I think I think it makes more sense to have one person dive really deep into it, and then when the time comes, full steam ahead. Whether that means just spending more money or getting involved at a deeper level. So we'll see.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for showing up. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content and just learn more about what we do. And yeah, as always, take it easy.